Hello there, world of tankers. I'm Blitz, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the CAERNARVON Action 10. Now, this tank has just come into the store today for the price tag of 15,000 gold. So in today's video, I'm going to be telling you everything you do need to know about the vehicle, from the armor profile, the statistics, and of course my own personal opinion on whether or not you should be sticking it in your garage. So of course, if you do like this type of video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. We just hit 14,000, which is crazy for me to believe. This channel is just a little bit over a year old now, and it really helps me out, the support you guys give. So make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you do like this type of content, but let's get straight into it. Getting straight into these statistics, this tank has a base damage per minute of 2,708, which is crazy to believe. It only has a 4.21 second reload, dealing 190 damage. While it isn't a crazy amount of damage, I definitely would not suggest to try and trade shells with some of the higher alphas like an Object 252 or let's say a WT. You definitely don't want to trade with big alpha guns because you're not going to be able to get DPM on them if they're backing up. But if you have an opponent in the front of you, especially a medium tank, you are going to rip them apart. Especially you have great standard penetration of 226, and your premium pen of 258 isn't a huge leap from your standard, but it still is going to be plenty to get through pretty much any tier 8 and tier 9 heavy tanks you are going up against. Now the base aiming time on this tank is also excellent at 1.72 seconds. That is best for every tier 8 heavy, and as well the dispersion is best for every heavy at 0.290. Dispersion factors when moving, rotating the turret, rotating the tanker, also best in class at 0.120. When rotating the turret, it is 0.08, which is crazy to think about. After shot, it is not the best though at 4.0, and that is a little bit of a downfall for the tank, because while all the other statistics are amazing, as soon as you do shoot, because you have such a quick reload, you really gotta wait for it to go back in. Now gun depression, 10 degrees, again, best in class. You want to have that excellent gun depression. This is going to make it flexible on pretty much any terrain you are stuck on. And gun elevation at 20 degrees is also very, very healthy. You're not really going to have to worry about people getting above you. Turret traverse speed, again, 43.74 is best in class. You don't have to worry about anybody flanking you. Circle of deaths are not really an issue in this tank. Even a T-49 will not be able to out-traverse your turret speed. Mobility on this tank, you'd think, oh, it's very heavy, weighs 65 tons, it wouldn't be very quick, but it actually goes 36 kilometers per hour forward. It only goes 12 backwards. That is a big downfall of this tank, I noticed, but honestly, I don't ever find myself going reverse in this tank because it's such an aggressive vehicle. It's got such a crazy damage per minute. I normally find myself only pushing forwards. It has a great effective power to weight ratio of 14.62, which means that it constantly stays at around 35-36 kilometers per hour when you are driving on flat terrain. Traverse speed at 36.45 is nothing to brag about, but it is good for most tier 8 heavies, which means that you are going to be able to wiggle your hull, angle it, side scrape with it, which is something that's really, really nice. It actually even has a decent camouflage rating at 10%. So as you can see, statistically, this tank is amazing. It blows pretty much every other heavy tank, and even most medium tanks out of the water. For gun handling, even mobility, it's very, very good at. So let's pull up the armor profile and see if that does hold up as well. And yes it is. As you can see, the frontal armor on this tank is completely red except for a couple of the weak spots. Now talking about the weak spots, we have the lower plate, which is only 125 millimeters thick. That means that even tier 7 opponents with stock guns will easily be penning the lower plate on this vehicle. So make sure at all costs, if you run this vehicle, to try and hide or angle that lower plate. The other big weak spot that we can see from front is the cupola, 129 millimeters thick. Yeah, that's really not going to bounce much. Now I will say, a lot of people don't really shoot at it because it is a much smaller cupola looking at it in-game than it is on paper here. So that is one thing to keep in mind, is it is very hard to hit that cupola. I myself would rather shoot at the upper plate armor or the lower plate armor. And speaking about the upper plate, it's very, very thick as you can see. 242 millimeters at that. That means pretty much any standard rounds are going to be bouncing off of this tank. And this is an IS-6 aiming at it, so it's going to be very, very hard to pen it. Of course, though, loading premium, you can see you're very easily going through not only the upper plate, but the turret armor as well. And that's because the turret armor wall is very thick at 247 millimeters. That's definitely not going to stand a chance against heat rounds that have 270 millimeters of pen. The turret armor is still pretty thick to go up against, though. It's very, very tricky. And yeah, looking at that space armor on the sides of the turrets, 500 millimeters thick. you are never going to penetrate that. Even when aiming dead at the side of the turret with that spaced armor, it's still 380mm thick. That means even some of the best penetration tank destroyers are still not going to be able to get through that turret armor. It is insanely thick. And not to mention, when you're using gun depression on this vehicle, that cupola pretty much becomes impossible to see. And you're looking at that upper plate armor. Yeah, upper plate you're not going to be able to penetrate. Even loading heat, you can see just how much harder it is to penetrate that turret armor, because that upper part, yeah, that's auto ricochets. As we know, the side armor on the turret's nearly impossible. The only spot you can pen is below the gun, which is still 265mm thick. It is one of the toughest tanks frontally to pen in the entire game. Now, looking at the side armor, I do have good news and I have bad news. The good news is that it is buffed from the normal 50mm from the normal CAERNARVON. However, 90mm, well, if you look at a RHM, it has more than 90mm of pen if you are running calibrated on high explosive. So it still is very easy to pen it with high explosive in the side. As well, the frontal part with HE, it's still 90mm thick. So that is one thing you want to keep an eye on, is shooting HE in the side of it. If you do got Hesh in a tier 9 vehicle, or you've got a 152, you can definitely go for it. Any T49, RHM, ISU, go ahead and shoot HE at the side of this vehicle. Just make sure not to hit that space armor on the side of it, as you can see. Now the rear armor, yeah, 40mm, you're not going to be bouncing much. The rear of the turret is actually decent at 95mm. You're not going to be able to get HE into that, but it's not really going to stand much of a chance, pretty much up against anything. And sidescraping this tank, because it does have that little bit of enhanced armor, it can actually get a decent sidescrape, as you can see. You can angle it all the way up to about 10 degrees, and it's still very, very thick to penetrate the frontal armor. So that is one good thing about this vehicle, although in my opinion, angling this vehicle really doesn't do much, because, well, it does maybe absorb a couple shells into the tracks. Really, the lower plate is so weak that people are going to easily shoot it in the first place. And as you can see, when you do angle it, you expose this little plate of armor here that pops out from the turret ring. It is very, very weak. If you are going up against this tank and you do see that, make sure to shoot at it. Only 213mm thick. But overall, looking at the frontal armor of this tank, even the side armor, it is insanely thick if you do know how to run it. And that's what makes this tank just so much more better on the battlefield. So if we do a quick recap on all the statistics and the armor profile on this vehicle, the gun damage per minute is amazing, the gun handling is amazing, and the mobility on this tank is great. When we move onto the armor profile, as we saw, is pretty much just great in almost all scenarios. It's got excellent gun depression. Pretty much any single spot this tank is stuck in, it can make it work, and make it work very well. So in my opinion, this tank is definitely overpowered. I'm pretty sure I said that in my last review as well. I'm averaging 2,900 damage every single game in this vehicle with a 74% win ratio. That is more like my smasher statistics. So this tank is going crazy for me in my garage. But the big question is it worth 15,000 gold? Because that is a very expensive price tag. Here's my take on the price. If you've been waiting for this vehicle to come into the stores, and I'm actually surprised that it didn't come back in crates just because of how crazy a vehicle it is, especially because it's not a collector, it will be guaranteed not getting nerfed, unless Wargaming makes it one, but I honestly don't think they will. But back right into it, is it worth 15,000 gold? I think if you've been waiting for it, if you really want to pick this vehicle up, I think it is worth 15,000, because it is just such a strong vehicle. Every single scenario I find myself stuck in, it really just takes it off, like shrugs it off, and continues to keep pumping shell after shell. And that's what makes it just so strong in every scenario. You saw me in Port Bay there, I pushed it heavy route, I dealt with all the heavies, and then I went on to Canal and pushed it medium route and dealt with all the mediums. It can do the role of a medium, it can do the role of the heavy, it can pretty much do the role of any tank in the game, although I wouldn't suggest a snipe in it, but it still probably could do it with how good the gun handling statistics are. Do not get any ideas. But you will definitely not be disappointed if you pick up this tank. But for the price tag of 15,000 gold at the same time, the Ag-Tiger 8.8 is a special offer for 5,000 gold right now. Talking about the T-34, I'm pretty sure that was 5,000 gold, and so was the T-95E2. So you could have gotten 3 Tier 8 premiums for the price tag of one singular Tier 8. And those 3 premiums are decent premium tanks. So honestly, it's a 50-50 on whether I say to pick up this vehicle if you are saving up for some other vehicles. But this is definitely an excellent one if you did want to throw it in your garage. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. As always, if you did, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that like button if you did like it. If you didn't, well, you know what to do. Let me know why it sucked in the comments down below. Let me know why you disagree with my opinion on it. But other than that, guys, I hope you're all doing well out there, and I'll see you in the next one.